Hey, welcome back to another edition of AFK Discussions. It's your boy Jason, and Ty's not here today. He's had a baby, so he is off doing baby things. But I got Phil from Exploring with Phil here. How's it going, man? I can't hear you.
I'm doing my best, Ty. Can you not hear me?
I couldn't hear you for a second, but we're good now.
Okay, I was trying to do my best Ty impression, because usually when you guys intro the show, he's like, "Oh," or something like that.
Yeah.
That's for Ty. But yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's going to be an awesome episode talking about two different cool little cryptid kind of things, stories, legends. So I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, man, totally. It is going to be a good one. So, man, what's been going on in the world of Phil? I know you've been doing some crazy videos. I saw that one where I can't remember where you were, but it was like it said "get out," and "leave" or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was, but that was pretty crazy.
Oh hell yeah! You're probably thinking of the one when I did the King Philip's War in Middleborough, where I got the the weird spirit box, definitely the strangest spirit box word bank responses I've ever gotten in a row for sure. It was just a wild experience. Things in general have been honestly on the uptick. I would say in the last month alone, I've had my name said more in the spirit box than ever.
That's crazy.
Over the past, from before that for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing like bad, but just, we went somewhere. I'll give you a little tidbit. It's not even aired yet. Probably not even going to air by the time this comes out because I'm not sure when I'm going to put it out. But me and Nicole did this little explore down on Cape Cod. I didn't do any spirit box sessions, just had the word bank going. I didn't say my name once. Maybe Nicole said my name, maybe, but I don't remember. I don't think she did. And then I caught one EVP while we were there, and it was someone saying, "Hey Phil," or "Hey Phil."
That's crazy.
So, yeah, I don't like. What's weird about that, this place that we went to, we're talking it's like an hour and 40 minutes away from my home.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not like it's right down the street from my house or something. So we drove a good distance away to get there, and didn't really. I don't know. It's just very strange that you go that far away and you have an entity, ghost, whatever, saying my name. It's very strange. I don't know what to make of it, but
yeah, that is really weird.
That's me the last month. So
yeah, and
it's been good, man. It's been good.
Yeah, the weirdest thing lately that's happened to me, I talked about on an earlier show, and I sent it to you. My family and I were at this birding park where you go to watch birds and stuff, and I just took my spirit box because the kids were like, "Let's go ghost hunting," I'm like, because I've heard some stories about this area, and the funny thing is they won't let you in there after dark. Although I have seen some videos of people there after dark. I know, what's his name? He's Tony's
Yeah, you sent
friend.
it to me. You sent it to me.
Yeah, I sent you the video.
Yeah.
So, but there's another guy that's friends with Tony, and he went there, and his video is pretty crazy too. But I couldn't believe it. That little clip I got, which I played on an earlier episode, where I was talking about portals and Dogman and stuff, and then this little girl voice said monsters, and that was very creepy.
That's creepy. Now, how long were you guys there in total?
Total maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's
wild. It just goes to show you don't need to be in these haunted locations very long for weird things to happen.
Yeah, it was definitely weird.
Imagine, I think about that too, because when I do my videos, right, I go out and I'm out for maybe an hour and a half at a time at the most, maybe 2 hours at the most. So it's just amazing that I guess it just depends on the location. If it's a haunted location, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When you go, you're gonna stuff's gonna happen. They're gonna interact with you and stuff like that. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, dude. That I remember you telling me about that. That is definitely creepy for sure. And with your family there too. That's even
I know. So we were like, yeah, it's time to go.
Yeah. All right, kids.
Yeah.
Let's put the ghost box away.
Man, I'm beginning to think, because we got all that activity up in the cabins in Elkmont, and I'm beginning to think, since I've been having a lot of responses to me when I'm asking, that I don't know if it's from that, because it seems like things are attracted to you, obviously, because you get a lot of responses. Yeah. But I'm beginning to think that I may have that same sort of thing, that stuff is attracted to me, because I always get a response. Anytime I ask something, I usually hear something, so it's
and I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's just so they're made of like a sensitivity thing, or I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe they feel more comfortable, around certain people than they do other people.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's definitely something. You can't, I can't deny it anymore. I mean, it's just, it's definitely weird. I don't understand it, but yeah, as long as you don't let it get too crazy or get a little like unnerve you, you know what I mean? Because if you think about it too much, or like think about responses that entities or ghosts say to you too much, then you definitely could like scare yourself. And when in reality, most of what they say is just random and, doesn't mean anything, doesn't lead to anything most of the time. It's just kind of like, sometimes they say things just to scare you or just to mess with you. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't touched the ghost box since since that happened.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't blame you. Some people like my one recommendation is use it as much as you want out and about when you do an investigation and stuff like that. Do never ever use it in your own home.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I will ever never investigate your own home unless like you're having poltergeist activity as it is. Then I would say go for it. But like you never want to bring anything into your home. So
no, I think when I first bought it, I turned it on just to see how it worked. I didn't ask any questions. I just one thing was turn it on and see if it worked and turn it back off. So
Yep. It's like once in a while, like I'll randomly turn it on in the house, like not really thinking, but just to make sure like how much battery it is.
Yeah.
And I always like turn down the volume all the way down, so that way even if it's like sweeping through channels, it's nothing's gonna pop through there. So
yeah. So hey, real quick before we get into it, man, why don't you tell people where they can find you?
Oh, sure. On you can pretty much find me on all social media platforms at Exploring with Phil. That's Phil with 2 L's. Except for Twitter, which is exploring_Phil. On YouTube, I do a weekly YouTube video, 7 p.m. every single Thursday, and that's Canadian Dutch Boys Studios.
Awesome, man. And guys, it's great. You go check out Canadian Dutch Boys Studios. I highly recommend it. I love it. I'm not just saying it because you're my friend. It's really good content. Hey, before we get into the visitor, I wanted to touch on this Cherokee folklore I just happened upon on TikTok. So for those of you that don't know, I am Cherokee descendant, like I think 4 generations, maybe 5. So everyone in Tennessee, you always get told, oh, you're descended from Cherokee, if you're a Tennessee native. And most people are like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Right.
So I was telling my wife and she was like, oh, yes, let's do a DNA study and do some like ancestry.com. Well, it comes back that I am indeed, part Cherokee. And actually I want to say 4th great grandfather, maybe 5th. He was on the Trail of Tears, but
no kidding.
yeah, he was actually a chief in the Cherokee Nation. So we actually went to Oklahoma to kind of do some genealogy stuff.
Sure, yeah.
But they weren't there long enough to be on the census because they moved to Oklahoma and then some came back to Tennessee, so they weren't on the census in Oklahoma.
Gotcha.
But,
so they moved back as soon as they got out there, and they're like, nah, we're going back home.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, some of my family did stay there, but they died before the census happened.
Gotcha.
And we actually visited their graves. It was crazy. We found out where it was, and we went. It was like in the middle of a cornfield. It's like there's these big like literally cornfields, and like the people out there with tractors and doing their work, doing their job, and then there's like this little cemetery with a huge tree just right in the middle. And so we were able to find it. It was pretty cool to check that out. Another thing I found out that Cherokee around that time after the Trail of Tears, they started taking like European names instead of using their native names to more fit in. And so they weren't like discriminated against. So sometimes you may have Native American in you, but you don't know because like when you do genealogy and you look at the names, they're white names. They're not Indian names. So
yeah, it's the same thing in New England too. Once the Pilgrims came over, the Wampanoags would do the same thing, kind of like trying to fit in culturally and stuff like that. They would like take English names and name their children English names and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're very, very common for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I didn't know that. That's really cool. That's interesting, man. I'm glad you got to do that, man.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people even get to know like the full extent of their ancestry. Yeah, like you may be able to do like ancestry tests, but like, you know, especially if your family came over on a boat, there's only so far you can go, in America, and then you literally would have to go to that other country to like find out, anything more. So that's really cool that you were able to go that far back.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
So
so that's why this story is important to you.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So in Cherokee, I'm gonna call it folklore because there's no way to really, I guess you can't really say if it's
verify,
true or not. Verify,
right.
that's a good way to put it. Some words are hard for me sometimes. So so apparently when the Cherokee settled in the Smoky Mountains in North Carolina and Tennessee, they said that there was a race of people already here. And they had white skin, and they were small in stature, and their eyes couldn't take in the sunlight, so they only came out at night. And so they dubbed them the moon-eyed people because they would only come out at night. It's very, very interesting because there's some accounts that they spoke almost like a Gaelish, like an Irish or a Scottish dialect. And sorry to Scottish and Irish, I don't know Gaelic. I don't know. I know Gaelic is it's either Scottish or Irish. I don't know which one it is. So, and that could be a touchy subject up there to, get it wrong. So I'm just saying, I'm sorry. I'm stupid American. I don't know what Gaelic is, So anyways, but I just thought that was very interesting. So, it's very, very interesting. Because, it reminds me, because they say they're small in stature. I mean, is this, and also they said that they go underground during the day and come out at night. And which almost, makes me think of like the Cherokee Little People legend, if this has something to do with that also.
Right.
Right. I'm just going to read this real quick. So it says the Cherokee Moon-Eyed People are a legendary group from Cherokee folklore, believed to have inhabited the Appalachian region before the Cherokee people. Described as having fair skin, light eyes, and were said to be sensitive to sunlight and preferred living underground. The origin of the legend is unclear, and while some theories suggest it could be inspired by interactions with early European settlers, there's limited historical evidence to support this. So what they did find, I think in 2015, was they found a statue, a carving of these moon-eyed people. And it looks very alien, for lack of a better word. I don't know. Did you happen, because I told you mention this to you, did you happen to look it up and see that statue?
Yeah, and I watched a video that you had like posted it on your thing. I think I had the statue of them in that video. So yeah. So I did see that, and honestly, there's a couple of things that stand out. When you mentioned the little people and that they were short, I also went there too. I also thought, I was like, oh, maybe they could be some sort of a cousin of these little people or something similar, even like similar to Pukwudgies maybe, because both of them live, Pukwudgies don't live necessarily underground, but they do live in huts and stuff. There's a lot of weird connections there. And the very fact that you said they spoke Gaelic is also interesting, because it reminds me of, I think it's Scottish, they have these little elemental creatures that are, I think, very similar to the way that like they're little and stuff like that too. I'm just like connecting tissues because it made me think of that, because they're speaking Gaelic, and I was like, that's kind of weird that they would speak that. So like, but then again, maybe there's some sort of, there's some people that theorize that Europeans were here a lot earlier than what we thought. Like between Vikings and all these other things, which is, I think, definitely very, very possible for sure.
Definitely.
So, you never know, like, what kind of weird, And then you said they live underground, too, which just throws a whole other weird angle in it, too. And they only come out at night. What's true, what's not? Like, where is the legend and where is, like, reality? Like, are these actual just real humans who maybe were just living in the ground, and they got so used to being in the ground so much that their eyes, had a hard time adjusting to full sunlight, so they would only come out during the darker times because it was easy for them to, you know what I mean? Because that's where they lived and that's where they dwelt, and it was just kind of like, their eyes just weren't adjusting properly. I don't know. It's really weird. I think it's super interesting. There's definitely a supernatural element to it, I think. I don't think this is just people. I think this could be some sort of fairy folk sort of
That's what I was thinking, like a fae folk.
Yeah.
And there's so much stuff that is, encompassing in the fae. So like gnomes, leprechauns, trolls. Right. I mean, all the above is part of that.
You said there was something that destroyed them too. What was the enemy that destroyed them?
The Cherokee, I think, destroyed them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think they. I don't know if they completely destroyed them, but they like ran them out of the Smokies or the Appalachian Mountains. I said Appalachian. People are gonna say you're not from Appalachia. It's Appalachia, but for some reason I said Appalachia. Yeah, guys, I was born and raised in Tennessee. And I said Appalachian. I don't know.
That's just because I'm on. You hear that northern accent, you're like, I have to say it this way. This is the way Phil says it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, but it's weird. So I'm just gonna read this again. There's another description. It says moon-eyed people were described as having fair, pale skin, light-colored eyes. Their appearance was notably different from that of the Cherokee and the indigenous people of the region, who generally had darker skin tones. So I'm looking through my notes here. Sensitive to sunlight, lived in dark places. I think they also like were very spiritual.
I thought that was part of it too. Like they would I can't remember. They had maybe even mystical powers almost.
Yeah, I'm trying to find I got a bunch of notes here, guys. Let's see. I know this is great radio because okay, here we go. Okay, legends suggest that the Moon-Eyed people had a unique connection to the spiritual world, with some accounts describing their ability to communicate with spirits or foresee events. Some modern paranormal enthusiasts speculate that these legends could indicate the lost civilization with advanced knowledge or even extraterrestrial origins. So yeah.
So like Nephilim.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
Which could be a possibility as well, for sure. Because I also thought that as well. I was like, there could be, some sort of half human, half something.
Yes. So another thing that's kind of weird there. This is going to go deep. So Cherokee also, there's not really a legend. It's because it's more tangible than that, because they have found on like not really hieroglyphics. What's it called? There's another word for hieroglyphics. They're I
know what you're talking about.
They're carved.
Whatever it is. Yep.
Yeah, they're carved in stone.
The carvings. Yep.
I can't think of what it's called, but it's not hieroglyphics. But they found Paleo Hebrew carved in this region, and it dated back to before like settlers would have been here. So there's a lot of speculation that the Cherokee people could be part of like a sect of like the lost tribes of Israel that may have came over here long ago and just stayed.
Gotcha.
So, but there's a big legend about the Cherokee possibly being like one of the lost tribes of Israel.
Gotcha.
Which I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. I mean, like the native skin tones and stuff, it does kind of resemble like the Middle Eastern skin tones and hair colors and stuff. So
yeah, that's true. That is true. That's super interesting.
Yeah,
because that's one of those age old questions about the Native Americans, in America anyway. Like, where did they come from?
Yeah,
were they always here? Did they migrate from Asia or something? Like everyone's always speculated that's where they may have came from. But I mean, no one knows. I mean, so that's definitely anything's possible, man.
Yeah.
When it comes to that kind of stuff. You know what? Actually, when I was doing some research for Van Meter, what really blew my mind is I heard, because they were talking about listening to other podcasts about Van Meter, and one of them mentioned, and I don't remember which one because I listened to so many, but they said that gorillas weren't even discovered until the late 1800s.
Yeah. Which
meant that before that, a gorilla or a man-like creature that kind of like resembled a man, clean but covered in hair, would have been completely like like it would be like, oh, that's not real.
Yeah.
And so at the time of like Van Meter and all this stuff, like early 1900s, a lot of people were like believing that anything was possible. So like, or any creature was possible because they recently discovered that a gorilla was possible. So they're like, oh, if a gorilla is possible, then like, whatever, anything's possible, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So super I just thought that was fascinating. I was like, damn. I was like, how did they not find a gorilla until the late 1800s?
I know that's crazy.
Right? How does that make any sense?
I don't know.
Dude, come on.
I know. I mean, that's not that long ago,
No, it's not that long ago.
Which puts a lot of credence to like cryptozoological creatures. I mean,
absolutely.
That's like the 1800s. I mean, see how long was it 100 and I guess 100 like 1900 is 123 years ago.
23
right?
years.
So
yeah,
I mean,
right.
It's not that long ago,
No,
if you in the time of all of creation, it's 100 right. and like say 40 years is not that long. So I'm bad at math.
It blew my mind. It blew my mind. I was like, I can't believe that. You know what I mean? So I was like, that's what I'm saying. So when it comes to cryptids, never rule anything out, man, because you just never know.
Yeah, I know.
Never know.
I know. It's crazy. And there's still like rumors of lost Native American tribes living in the wilderness too in America, which there's so much that we haven't even discovered in America. Like there's vast wildernesses that people just haven't been into.
Yeah, and that's true.
Yeah. And dude, another thing that's so weird about the Tennessee area. So there's an area called Norris Lake, and they built a dam there in the 50s or 60s. It was maybe it was longer ago than that. Probably 20s, maybe even longer than that. But anyways, so they built the Norris Dam, and apparently whenever they drained it or as they were building it, they found Egyptian artifacts in the river.
Really?
And that's crazy. Tony has actually talked about it recently too. That's where I heard about it. And then
that's super interesting.
Yeah, a guy I work with actually knows some stuff about this. I've talked to him about it. And he's told me little bits and pieces about it. He hasn't really gone into great detail, but spoiler alert, coming up soon, he's actually going to be on the confessionals because I got him in touch with Tony. And cool. Yeah, so I think I'm going to be at the table also whenever that interview goes on, and we're going to talk to him about all the craziness in Tennessee because he knows a lot about it.
Yeah, hell yeah. No, that'll be interesting.
That's a big spoiler, guys. Sorry.
No, hell yeah. We'll mark it on the calendar. You know what I mean? As soon as you know that's happening, I'll definitely be checking that out because that's going to be must listen, must watch, depending on how you watch it. But yeah, dude, hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. That's awesome.
There's a lot of craziness in Tennessee, man.
Oh, yeah. I was there for less than a week and I experienced it myself.
Apparently there's also a pyramid in the Smoky Mountains.
Really?
Yeah, that's
okay.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that is weird. That is wild, man. Yeah. You never know, man.
You never know. I mean, seriously, with all the weird stuff that happens in Tennessee, all the cryptids and everything, who knows what's out there?
Yeah, dude. Absolutely.
I mean, it's just highly active here, highly active. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had on the Moon-Eyed People. Cool. If you're listening right now and you know more about the Moon-Eyed People, I would love to talk to you because I'm very, very interested in it, and I would like to know more. So just get a hold of me, afkdiscussions@gmail.com, or on Instagram, Facebook. We're pretty much everywhere. Just get a hold of us and let us know, and I would love to have you on the show and talk to you. Okay,
yeah,
man.
Even I would. That's right. I would even like to know everyone's thoughts on like what people think they are. Whether people think they're humans, whether they think they're cryptids. If they're some sort of like half breeds or something.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So
on Facebook, I made a post. Well, I posted a TikTok video. I shared it, and it blew up. And there's so many people commenting on it. And so if you're on Facebook and you're watching this, because I'm definitely going to promote it on there. And you know something, I would love to talk to you. I mean, just Like I said, I would like to talk to anybody that knows anything about this.
Yeah, hell yeah, because it's just such I wouldn't say unknown, but like it is a smaller, legend. It's not like something that everyone knows, so it's definitely something worth digging in on for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So let's transition now into the Van Meter visitor. This is another topic that I guess not a lot of people talk about it.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
When I did research for this, right? I was like, well, let me look to see if anyone's done like a podcast on this within the last year. I think the most recent one I could find was like from last year. Really? So it's not even like, it's not even a topic that people talk about like a lot. So I've found maybe like 3 or 4 in the last few years or something. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
Yeah, I want to say, gosh, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I think Small Town Monsters did a little documentary on it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think that's where I first heard about it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I first heard about it. This guy Chad Lewis wrote a book, The Van Meter Visitor, something to that effect, and I heard him on. I think it was like Darkness Radio. I think.
Oh yeah.
This is like 2010 or something. It's a long
Dave Schrader,
time.
Man.
Dave Schrader, that's right. Back a long time ago. So that's where I first heard this story. So, and when you had asked me if I wanted to come on and like co-host, I was like trying to like rack in my brain, like, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? Because I didn't want to come on and just talk about like, what I've been doing. So I was like, well, let's talk about something different. So I was like, this is the first thing I thought of. So, Van Meter visitor. So I guess I'll just get right into it. So this event happened in 1903. September 1903 into October, Van Meter, Iowa. At the time, Van Meter was only like 400 people, round and about. Now they've really expanded. I think there's like 700 people maybe in the town. So I mean, at the height of 1903, this was like the height of Van Meter. This is like when the town's bustling. It's a very probably about as popular as the town's going to be at this point. And it's a very small town. It's right outside Des Moines, Iowa, which I believe is the capital of Iowa. So it's kind of like a town or like it's its own city or whatever, but it's very, very small. It's only like a 1.3 square miles. Mm-hmm. So it's a very, very small section. So basically what happened is the first event, actually, you know what? You want me to describe the creature first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
Whatever you want to do, man.
The table. Okay, so the Van Meter creature, monster, I guess we'll just call him a creature at this point. So basically the description, based on everyone who saw this creature, about 4 or 5 eyewitness accounts that saw this, different reputable businessmen who saw this creature, different times. We'll get into who and all that stuff. But they described a bat-like / human-like creature, wings like a bat, but it also said it had talons hanging off the wings, which no one had ever seen before, or like something they couldn't describe. There was also a terrible stench off of this animal, which seemed to get worse when the animal was threatened, shot at, stuff like that. Also, it had a beak-like nose, a face, nose, mouth, and then also a horn on its head, but like a blunted horn, not like a sharp horn, but a blunted horn, which light would emanate from this thing. But it seemed like it could control the light. So sometimes it could turn it on, at other times it turns it off. Also, the light was described as piercing and blinding. Now, like flashlights were invented at this time; they had just come out recently. Mm-hmm. But they weren't like the flashlights that we have. The way they described this light, they described it as like a beacon light. So a beacon light is a light that you would shine at the top. You ever seen like sometimes when like car dealerships, they have those spotlights that shine in the sky back and forth, and you could see the light ray in the sky. So like that would be like the equivalent of a beacon light, kind of like a lighthouse light. Yeah. Or that's like, so I'm assuming that means really, really bright.
Really bright.
So like, yeah, extremely bright, which I think is interesting. So, like I said, it has the bird beak. It's got this horn. It's got this light coming out. It's got wings. It has 4 legs. It seems to hop around on 2 legs like a bird, kind of, at times. But then also when it wanted to take off, it ran on all 4s and then took off like it that way as well. So it also had like the way they described, because a little bit later on we'll get into like the specifics, but there was one point where it was on a telephone pole and it climbed down the telephone pole and it used its beak like a parrot would use its beak to climb down something. You know,
yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yep. So I think that's really interesting. I'm trying to get into all like the very specifics of the animal that they described. So I did that 9 feet tall. So it's very, very tall, like creature when it stood up on its hind legs.
Yeah.
Moved at impossible speeds. So this is where like the supernatural. I mean, if the light emanating from the head and the stench is not supernatural enough, like this kind of like kicks it off because it moves at impossible speeds. We're talking jumping building to building over people's heads. It also seems to have like was either somewhat spiritual or something, because they would shoot at this animal, but it seemed like nothing would pierce its skin or nothing would damage it, but there would be no bullets there. The casings would be there, but there'd be no bullets. You know, it wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? So very, very strange. So that's the description of this creature that people saw. So
that's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. So I mean, it makes me think of two things. One, a pterosaur or a pterodactyl, or there's other flying dinosaurs besides pterodactyl, but you know, the claws, the pointy thing on its head, the beak, how tall it is, bat-like wings. I mean, that kind of sums up like a pterodactyl-ish creature. But also the supernatural side of it reminds me sort of like Mothman almost.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, absolutely. Just with a light.
Yeah.
You know, because Mothman, I don't think had a light as far as I remember, but very similar type creature though.
Yeah.
Even almost similar in size. So it's based on when we get to the end of all these people, the story and everything. I mean, again, maybe we'll get. You want to wait to the end to get to our theories, what we think it is?
Yeah. Let's wait to the end.
Okay. All right. So let's kick it off. So September 29th, this man named Eugene Griffith was a farm salesman. He's walking back from a long day. It's 1 a.m., which is very key. This is one thing I want to keep in mind. All of these events take place around 12:30 to 1 o'clock in the morning, each and every single one of them, leading up to the end. So, which I think is interesting. It's always at night.
Yeah.
You know, whether that's supernatural or not, I just think it's kind of strange. So he sees a light burning on top of a 2-story building, and he's like, oh, that's kind of strange. And so he sees it. He starts to walk closer to this light, and then the light jumps across over him onto the other side into another building. And he is completely shocked by this. You know, and so then all of a sudden, this light that he's seeing vanishes, and that's the end of the first encounter. So this guy sees this light. It literally, he sees something. He can't really make out what it is. It literally jumps over his head onto the other side of, you know, the street, and then just disappears and vanishes. So that's September 29th. September 30th, 12:30 in the morning. Dr. Elcott, the doctor of the town, like I said, reputable person. He's awoken from his sleep inside of his home and by a blinding light shining through his window. So he's like, what is this? So he gets up. What I love about people in this time period is each and every one of these people after this, they immediately get up and get their gun, which I love. So he immediately gets up. He gets up, gets his gun, because he's like, who is this? Like maybe he thinks it's a robber or something, you know, who's going to be shining a light into his home at 12, you know, that kind of a bright light. So he approaches the window with his gun. He sees the creature on the other side of the window, and he describes it as a half human, half animal, bat wings with a blunt horn and a piercing light. He fires 5 shots at the creature, breaks his window. The creature flies off. That's the end of that encounter. So when the morning comes around, you know, this is the doctor of the town. He starts telling people like what's happened. So some people in the town are like, I think that some people think it's like people trying to hoax and trying to like, they're robbers and this is a hoax and they're trying to like scare people so that they can steal or something.
Yeah.
So the next day, October 1st, is the bank teller or bank manager, I should say, Peter Dunn. He's concerned. He's like, yes, there are robbers. They're going to try to rob the bank tonight. This is all a ploy. I knew it all along. So he stays in the bank. He brings his shotgun with him with buckshots in it. And so he ends up falling asleep. He is awoken by a gargling and choking noise. This is one description that I forgot to mention. So it literally sounds like someone gargling or choking. So he's like, what is that? And then when he approaches the window, he's blinded by a light so bright that he steps back and has to cover his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And so the light eventually scans away from him and scans across the room. And when it scans across the room, he's able to see the creature. And as soon as he sees it, then he realizes that the doctor was telling the truth. And so as soon as he sees it, he takes a shotgun and he just starts shooting at the creature. The creature literally just vanishes, turns away, runs, vanishes, didn't see him again. So this is like day 3 now.
Yeah.
So at this point, with the doctor, the bank manager, both having these experiences, people in the town are like starting to kind of freak out a little bit. People are more believing that this is like these creatures are real.
Yeah.
So October 2nd, a man by the name O.V. White is a hardware store owner. He's awoken by yet again a strange, he calls it a rasping sound, but I would assuming the same sound that the other guy heard, the bank teller. Immediately gets up, gets his gun, which I love about these people. They immediately just wake up and, I mean, I guess at this point you're probably thinking it's probably the monster.
Yeah.
But he goes to the window, sees the creature is perched on a telephone pole, like across the way, like on one of those T telephone poles. So it's like sitting, imagine 9-foot creature sitting on top of the telephone pole, kind of like that way. Sees the creature, fires the gun at the creature. The creature turns its light on him and shines it right at him. Literally, and then this is where the odor comes in for the first time in any of these accounts. So the odor was so powerful, he had to take a step back. He like literally was so like, I don't know what kind of stench this was, but whatever the stench was, it was powerful enough to make him start shooting his gun and him to be like, oh my God, like that. It like knocked him back. So during this whole process, after the gunfire, Sydney, I can't write down, I wrote down his last name, but I wrote it so squiggly, I can't read my own handwriting. So his name was Sydney. So Sydney wakes up and he hears the gunfire, sees the monster on top of the telephone pole from like the other side or whatever. He describes it as 8 feet tall. He sees the beak, he sees the wings, he sees the 4 legs, and this is where the parrot-like account comes in. Okay. So he sees it move down the telephone pole like a parrot. Then he sees it hop around like a bird, or in his words, a kangaroo. And then it went from that to running on all 4s, and then gliding up and flying from that perspective.
Yeah.
So next day, the town obviously is distraught and uproar. They're like, this, people are starting to be like, we got to do something about this. So the men and the miners in the town, because this is a mining town, which the mine literally just opened maybe, I think it was 20 years before this moment, or 15, maybe even less than that. It wasn't even open that long. So the miners were like, a few days ago, we were hearing weird noises in the mine. So the manager / owner of the mine was walking by the mine, and he heard what he described as, I wrote it down because I thought it was so wild, a wild of a description. His name was Jay Platt, by the way. He said it sounded like a Satan and a regiment of imps carrying to battle. So literally, that's what he described this noise as. So he hears that noise, kind of like probably what these other people are hearing, and he sees this creature climb out of the mine.
Dang.
But it is not by itself. It has a smaller creature with it that is the same creature as the other creature, but just smaller. So probably a child, a baby creature, maybe possibly female. I don't know, who knows? But whatever, a smaller creature of that same creature. They stood and watched the mine shaft the rest of the day because they knew that they would be coming back, because they thought that they were living down there or whatever. So they got as many men as they could, as many guns as they could, and when the creatures did arrive back, they shot and fired every single gun. They said they fired so many shots that they could have sank a Spanish armada.
Gosh.
But they said that none of the shots seem to do any actual damage. It only seemed to make the creatures upset and agitate them. And so they eventually flew down into the mine shaft. And as soon as that happened, the miners and the workers either dynamited the top of it or covered it up or whatever they did to cover up the mine, so to make sure that they never got out again. And that is the last encounter of the Van Meter visitor.
Gosh, that is crazy.
Isn't that wild?
I have so many thoughts. So many.
Yeah, dude, fire away. I'm here.
So I had a bunch of thoughts, and so the way it walks and takes off. Mm-hmm. So everyone here, I've seen Jurassic Park, I'm sure. I want to say maybe it was Jurassic World, the first one, but like when I think it's the one, they're all like, in the shopping district in Jurassic World, and that's when the pterodactyls and pterosaurs start attacking. There's that one scene. Up. Yeah, there's one scene where they're actually walking on all fours. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Okay, yeah.
So that's what that reminded me of.
For sure, absolutely.
Because the horn, I mean, I can see that. And who knows? I mean, bioluminescence is a thing. I mean, you see it in underwater creatures. So, and some cave dwelling creatures have bioluminescence. So who's to say that, pterodactyls didn't have that? We don't know, no
For
one
sure.
has actually seen a pterodactyl.
Well, and given the fact that they live in a cave, it seems. Yeah. These creatures just like I said, I think there's many possibilities. Like obviously there's possibility that's just a real creature. Because like I said, as far as the gunshot stuff, it's like, they probably should have killed it. But I will say there is documentation of men, armies, fighting animals, and bullets not even be able to pierce skin, and that's the Battle of the Emus versus the Australians.
Oh, really?
So have you ever heard? Yeah,
I haven't heard that.
Oh no, my dude, this is wild.
Oh man!
So the Australian government spent so much money because they had this emu problem in Australia. So they got the military together. This is around this time period actually. So like early 1900s. So they get all this money together, all this ammunition and stuff, and they start hunting down the emus. They using machine guns and guns to try to kill them. Their fur or their whatever it is about the emus, it was so tough and thick that the bullets couldn't get through.
Really?
And so it was just like they literally lost a war to emus.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's literally crazy. But just because like of technology, and I'm sure like nowadays you could easily kill an emu, but it was just because of the early technology of guns and stuff. They just like couldn't do it, and it was just like it's one of the biggest like follies of any military ever. Like who loses a fight to a bird?
I know, that's crazy.
But yeah, so like the only reason why I bring that up is because there is an animal out there that has in the past, at least somehow, some way, through their whatever, could evade bullets, or not evade bullets, but like absorb bullets somehow or not take damage. Yeah. But I mean, that's very unlikely though. I mean, that's where it gets kind of like supernatural. Yeah. And I think the stench too. Obviously we don't get a description of what the stench smelled like, but what if it was sulfur? Yeah. And then we're into a hole, right? Then they come from the ground. What's in the ground? Hell. Yeah. So then you get into that whole angle. Like, is this some sort of like? Because even the way the guy described what it sounded like coming out of the cave, is like an imp-like creature, blah blah blah. And I'm like, that made me think of that too. So like, it could be an animal. It could be some sort of creature that's not meant to be up here from hell. Yeah. Yeah. That somehow, some way, got up here, and for whatever reason, and I don't know, just so it's weird. It's what I like about this story the most, and it's documented in newspapers. Yeah. And the people that like the people that like claim they saw this thing are like, the banker, all these like famous people in the towns. And then I know what people are going to say. They're like, oh, well, they just did it for the fame. Well, guess what? This brought them no fame whatsoever. Yeah. Van Meter like barely grew at all after this. So it's not like they were trying to use it to try to lure people to the town as some sort of like thing, like some sort of gimmick or something, which was a lot like people were doing at that time.
Yeah.
So that even needs credibility to that as well, that this is a real story.
Yeah.
You know, because it literally just disappears after that. And, you know, there's not a trace of it. There's not like, you know, there's no gift shop. I mean, nowadays they do celebrate it. It's like part of the town's history and stuff. Because let's face it, in Van Meter, Iowa, that's pretty much the only history you're going to get. So,
Yeah.
like, you know, when you look up history of Van Meter, Iowa, this is the only thing that like comes up. There's like, you know, I don't even know if there's probably no one even famous from, you know, this place. So it's like, it's the only thing they have, you know, so.
But it's like, I mean, Point Pleasant, it's the same thing with the Mothman.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the only thing. Well, I guess they had the TNT factory, but you know, they built like, I guess military equipment or something back then.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
But yeah, that was one of the first places the Mothman was sighted, was at the TNT factory.
That's weird.
Yeah. But you know, getting back to the Van Meter. So, another thing with the digging deep in the mines and stuff, it reminds me of like the hollow earth theory. Because I mean, if you
absolutely,
because there's so many movies about like the hollow earth that, like, what was that one? Was it Land of the Lost? It was an old TV show, and then
they fall through the crack.
Yeah, they fall through the crack. Where all the dinosaurs
that's right.
And there's like, what is it? I'm trying to think of the people that created that. They did some weird stuff in the 70s, but that was one of them. But they had the slee stacks that were like the lizard people. And it's just weird. And I remember the Will Ferrell like remade it. I love that movie. The remake, it's so funny. But yeah, it's so weird because, you know, to imagine that they're in Journey to the Center of the Earth is the other one. Is it Orson Welles?
That's right. Yeah, that is right. Yeah,
where, you know, there's this, you know, land that time forgot at the center of the earth. And then, you know, that gets into the whole Admiral Byrd thing, who, you know, he said he flew into the earth and he saw what are they called? Mastodons, like roaming and all these dinosaurs and stuff. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe it's not hell. Maybe they dug into the inner earth and it came out from there. I don't know. I'm thinking of all the possibilities. You know?
All the possibilities, dude. That's one of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, for sure. I find the Van Meter, whatchamacallit, so interesting, and the very fact that, as far as I know, besides the Mothman, there really isn't like another cryptid that's like this, as far as with the light on its head and stuff like that. Like, it's very unique too. You know what I mean? And I think the light, the stench, how fast it moved, the credibility of the people that are telling the story, and the fact that none of them got famous after this or anything like that, I think lends to the credibility that, like, this, whatever happened, something happened that this 1 week or whatever, and people can't explain it. Now, I was reading a little bit, Chad Lewis, the guy that wrote the book about the Van Meter, he was saying there's been a few people, one was 1986, one was 2006, and the last experience was like 2010, where people have described seeing not the exact same creature as a Van Meter visitor, but something similar, where they described it as a large bird or something. You know, one person saw it like I'm dead on the side of the road, you know, kind of a thing. Another person saw one and they, you know, had the beak thing and all that stuff, but they didn't get a good look of it, but they did say it was really big. And, you know, so like there has been a few like possible Van Meter sightings, obviously not confirmed at all, but I think that's interesting. I would love to go there myself and check out the mine and do like an EVP session near there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And see if, like, you know, you could get something, or, you know, I just, you know me, I'm like already wanting to go out to Tennessee again to ask questions about the Moon-Eyed people.
Tennessee,
who created them.
we had such a good time doing that, man. It was
hell yeah, dude.
dude.
Elkmont was so much fun.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Cage Cove was great too. That was such a surprise.
Okay, I'm connecting dots right now. I got my maps open here on my phone. So I'm trying to find Van Meter. I'm not seeing. I'm just kind of glancing on here. I looked up Chicago. So There was all the Mothman, or I think they called it a gargoyle sightings in Chicago recently, like a few years ago. I don't know. Did you know about that?
Interesting. No, I did not know about that.
So, and Illinois and Iowa are right next to each other. They touch.
Yeah.
They have a border.
Absolutely.
So that's very interesting. Let's see.
Yeah, I wonder what the descriptions are.
Van Meter. They described it as the Van Meter is right outside Des Moines.
Yeah.
So how far is that? It's not that far from Chicago. Van Meter. Let's see. Directions. Can I do directions? Yeah, directions. From Van Meter to Chicago. That is how many miles? 365 miles.
That's not far at all.
That's not. It's 5 hours driving, but I mean, flying is a whole different thing. That's not that far.
No.
For a creature to fly on over there.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting.
It's much farther to get to West Virginia, to Point Pleasant, than Van Meter to Chicago for the Mothman.
That's wild. When you think, you never really think about that. Like, you think Chicago, you're like, oh, that's nowhere near like Des Moines, Iowa, but I guess it is.
Yeah, it's fairly close.
It's not far at all. You're like, oh wow.
Damn. But yeah, so I mean, they said it's a gargoyle, long wings, black figure. I didn't hear anything about a beak. I think they saw it flying around, and then like perched on roofs. Gotcha. So that would think that was the only descriptions that were out
interesting.
There. Maybe red glowing eyes, I think, was another one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jeez, that doesn't sound creepy.
No, not at all. But another thing the Van Meter reminds me of is the Thunderbird legend of the Native Americans in the Southwest, which is described as like a pterosaur-like creature, which is, I mean, I think there's more to this, more to these legends than people think, Oh,
for sure. And now, like, what exactly they are, like, that's like the toughest part of the Van Meter part, is just like, it's literally a 1 week experience, 1 week experience, real quick, and then gone.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, no one else has really seen this same creature ever again, which is like really even stranger, because this isn't like Bigfoot or Dogman, where like people are like seeing this multiple times. This is just one creature, like one community, multiple people saw, one time.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, I think this lends credibility to the fact that this is a creature that's not supposed to be up here or something. You know what I mean? This is like a creature from the depths. But yeah, dude, super interesting. Like I don't know what to make of it. I mean, those people must have been absolutely terrified.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, it's crazy to think that, I mean, nowadays, if we saw something like that, I mean, it still would be terrifying. But, modern people's brains, I think, work differently than like people from the 20s or the turn of the century. I think we try to rationalize things a lot more than they did. But I don't know. I mean, if you saw that, it's just an eagle. The golden condor is the biggest bird, I think, in the U.S.
Gotcha.
Which can actually pick up small dogs and carry them off. It's huge.
No, that's terrifying.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just, you try to rationalize it, but then, I mean, if I saw something like that, I would, I mean, depending on the distance, I'd be, it's just a big bat or a big bird.
Right. What terrifies me, I think, the most is how many times these guys shot this thing.
Yeah.
And it took no effect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or just seemed to make it upset, and it basically didn't leave because it was hurt. It just left because it was more annoyed.
Yeah.
Definitely. Than anything else. And they're like, they kind of just got lucky. They're like, all right, well, let's trap them in here then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I just can't imagine that. I mean, I wonder what kind of guns.
Terrifying.
I mean,
right. Right.
Like probably rifles,
like revolvers, shotguns, rifles. Yep.
I guess they're
single action pump handle.
Yeah. I guess their ballistics, their powder or whatever, is not as powerful as it is nowadays to ignite and shoot the projectile. Maybe.
Oh right.
Maybe they don't travel as fast. Maybe that's why it didn't puncture the animal. I don't know.
Yeah. Right, because you would think like an M16 or AK-47 or something, should be probably more powerful than, some like revolver or something, some pistol.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't know. But yeah, so definitely interesting, man. Like I don't know what this creature is, but super interesting. It's one of my favorite like little paranormal stories out there, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Gosh, I mean, there's so much weirdness in the world. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, speaking of weirdness, I am so excited because coming up, Tony's releasing the Shape of Shadows, and this kind of, when I was thinking about the Venometer Visitor, I was just thinking about, like, he had a guy on this week that owns the Space Wolf Research, and he was talking about creatures like they saw a giant crab, like in like the folklore of the ranch, or not the ranch, the I guess Space Wolf Research or whatever that area. Yeah, there was like a crab creature. They saw like a giant like prehistoric beaver.
Jeez.
They saw like a dire wolf type creature, like large canines. And I'm wondering, is there, I mean, these portals and things that have been mentioned, is there, yes, portals to the spiritual realm, but is there something that's like where there's like a time slip and these creatures are coming through from our past? Because everything he was describing were, supposed to be extinct animals. I wonder if it's something like that happening in that area that we're, I don't know, there's like time dilation or something weird, like a wormhole or something that's going on. It just,
I didn't even think about that possibility. Yeah, because who knows? That could be like in the mine itself.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You know what I mean? So like, so those creatures could have came from, either a different time, another place.
Yeah.
And so they're just completely confused. I don't know. But yeah, dude, that's and that's definitely possible for sure.
Yeah.
And the more I do like research out and like do investigations and stuff, I definitely think that the portal theory definitely has some validity to it. At the very least, vortexes or something that's causing paranormal activity to be heightened in certain areas, like Tennessee, like Bridgewater Triangle, like like hot spots. Obviously there's got to be something there besides the ghosts themselves that is causing these things to happen. Yeah, whether that's other entities that are stronger, that are causing these things to happen, or whether it's like people doing rituals, like actual humans doing ritual things to open portals, whatever they do. You know what I'm saying? It could be that too. You know what I mean? It could be any number of those things. So it's definitely interesting, man. And I'm here for it. So
yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, dude. I can't wait. Next time I go out, I'm gonna have. Next time I go out to the Huckamuck, I think I'll mention the Van Meter Visitor. Be like, do you guys know what that is? I'll describe the creature. Maybe they'll be like, yeah, that's Terry. He's over here.
That would be awesome if his name was Terry.
That would be incredible evidence. I mean, but then all of a sudden there's the 9 foot. I'm like, all right, then I get the whole. Then he blinds me with his light, and it's a whole thing.
So that's one thing I was thinking, because your story with the giant wolf. I wonder if it was like a dire wolf type thing, that if there was some sort of time slip going on in the Huckamuck. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that definitely could be possible. I mean, because it's not. I mean, talking about an animal that's not. I mean, allegedly, definitely existed before. We know that, but not supposed to exist now.
Yeah, gosh.
It's like the saber-toothed tiger. Imagine seeing a saber-toothed tiger somewhere. You'd be like, what?
I'm just thinking about all this, like time slips now, where these portals, you know, yes, portals is spiritual realm, like I said before, but also, I mean, maybe these creatures did live long ago, like say, like the Dogman and Sasquatch and all these, and maybe there's these time slips they're coming through. I mean, my mind's reeling now because I thought about that, and now that's all I can think of. Maybe they're time slips. I mean, I love time travel, and now I'm like, now I'm like,
the next
these are 3
months, the next 3 months, every single thing you're like, you know what? This is classic time slip.
I know, right? And that's the whole thing with ghosts, also, that they say are like thinning of time, where you're like not really seeing, say, a spirit, but you're seeing into the past. And it's bleeding over, and
oh, dude,
they can hear you, and you can hear them for a short period of time. That's how they interact. There's that one story. I don't know if I told it to you or not. I heard I think it was on another podcast, but I've brought it up before in our podcast, so people already know what I'm going to say. So there's this kid this guy was talking about when he was a kid. He went to the kitchen because he heard something, in the kitchen. So he goes in there and he sees a guy like opening his fridge and making like a sandwich. And it was someone he'd never seen before, so he got freaked out, and he ran upstairs and got his parents, and they came down and there was no one there, right? So fast forward to when this kid's like 17 years old. He's in his fridge making a sandwich, and he turns around and he sees a small, like a 8-year-old version of himself standing there watching him make the sandwich, and then runs off. So that time kind of overlapped for just a few seconds there. So he was seeing himself in the future and in the past in that one moment.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that definitely happens, because there's been points when I've asked like spirit box questions about specific historical things that happened there, and I'll get like, it almost seems like glimpses into that past. Now, whether that's time slipping or them showing me, you know what I mean? That moment or something. I don't know how it works, but definitely, because I've definitely asked for things and then gotten like responses as if they were the people that were there at the time. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whether they're, say if there's somebody that they died of starvation, they're like, oh, food, we're hungry, or something like that. They'll say things like that. So like, so yeah, I definitely think that's definitely possible. Or like, just like I don't know if it's just the energy or whatever. Because another example, like I was in one of the recent videos I did of King Philip's War, and one of the stories was about this Native American who got shot from the fort from like a half a mile away. And as I'm telling the story, I talk about the story. I do a spirit box session, and in the spirit box it says shot him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm at the location of the fort, so it's like, was that shot him like an echo of the past of the guy who actually shot? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like shot him. I shot him. That kind of thing. So, definitely interesting for sure. I've gotten a few like poignant like things that are like exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So,
man, do you know what I'm thinking right now? So I am imagining. So back, let's say 1700s, whatever, whenever this is going on. There's like these people. I'm setting it up, okay? There's just people walking through there. This is the conversation. Guys, I swear, I keep hearing this person named Phil talking. Phil, yeah. And you're like talking, and they're like, Phil. They're like, I swear there's a ghost named Phil around here.
Yeah, where is he?
And then
where are you?
Yeah, that's them responding. I can see that totally happening.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and then we read some historical text, and they're talking about the spirits coming alive, and blah blah blah. Yeah.
And it's you the whole time.
Yeah, I never expected it was me the whole time.
Yeah, that's so funny, man.
You never expect you're the ghost.
I know. That would be really cool to find out, like reading some like text that or a story, like someone wrote a story down about a ghost story, and it's actually you. That would be so crazy to find out.
Or I go to the Huckamuck like 10 years from now, right? And I catch an EVP of like my first investigation there or something.
Man.
Like
and you're dude, that would be so crazy. You're talking to yourself.
Yes,
would be so.
that would be wild.
That would be
crazy. Would be absolutely wild.
I love that.
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's see if we can make that happen.
Yeah. Man. Gosh, I'm gonna be like, I can't go to sleep tonight. I'm gonna be thinking about all these scenarios.
All these dates.
I know.
You're like, they intersect. 1973 and 1993 are the same time.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen any of the newer Marvel stuff, but there's like this branching of timelines. They're like forking off, and I'm like,
they are really going for it. Yeah. It's just like 900 different directions. Like,
Yeah, we watched the new Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse last night.
Oh, actually. Nice. How did you like it?
I thought it was awesome. I don't know, have you seen it? It's so good. But there's like, it's, there's so many branches and multiple Spider men, women, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And
it's right.
It's really cool. Yeah.
Cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Good. Film recommendations with Jason.
Yeah.
This week, check out Spider-Man.
Yeah, dude. I'm. Gosh, there were some times in it was pretty sad, but
Yeah.
But
they got to put those feels in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I still haven't seen the new Guardians of the Galaxy. I heard that.
I heard good things.
Yeah, I heard good things.
I heard good things about it. Yeah.
I heard it's a tearjerker though. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Did you see? You probably haven't been in the theater, but have you seen Oppenheimer yet?
I have not.
I saw it. It was pretty good. It was way too long.
Yeah.
Way too long. Yeah. I could have done without, his growing up part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They kind of like do like the whole thing like, oh, this is him when he's in college and that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then kind of like progress it to like when he makes the atomic bomb, and then obviously the highlight of the big moment is probably like the dropping when they're testing it or whatever.
Yeah.
And they drop it for the first time. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I heard it's all like practical effects and stuff too.
Oh yeah, oh really? I didn't know
that's what
that.
I heard. I heard they didn't use any CGI, so I don't know how they created stuff like that.
I mean, just the what's crazy about the atom bomb is when you see, because you'll see they're in the bunker, right? They show the explosion, you see the fire, the whole thing, but the sound doesn't travel faster than the explosion or the sight does or whatever. So they don't even get the sound because they're so far away. They don't get the sound till I forget how long it is. It's like literally maybe even a minute, whatever it is. It seems like forever. So you see this billowing with smoke and just like fire, and then all of a sudden it's just like literally a wall, like a concussion, like bang, and it's just like then just like the loudest explosion noise you've ever heard in your life. And I guess when Barbie and Oppenheimer play at the same time, people in Barbie can hear the point when the atom bomb goes off, I guess. So.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, imagine watching Barbie, all of a sudden like this huge explosion as you're trying to enjoy Barbie.
So did they use his famous quote? I'm sure it had to be in there. "I have become death, destroyer of worlds." That's his like quote. Yeah. They
think they use that when with like the Senate hearing part or whatever, when they're like talking to him after everything's all said and done. They kind of like go back and forth between time and stuff like that.
That's cool.
And kind of like weave it. Yeah, it's pretty good movie. Like I said, like definitely 45 minutes too long for me.
Yeah.
It was like 3 hours. It was a slog to get through,
Yeah.
But it was good. I recommend it.
That's cool.
For sure.
One thing, speaking of the atom bomb, do you ever listen to Tinfoil Hat?
I haven't checked them out, but I know I've heard of them.
Yeah.
I've heard of them.
So Sam Tripoli, he's like a comedian and podcaster, and man, he had a guy on, I can't remember when it was, but they're talking about the atom bombs and stuff, and how like there's videos, like the camera that filmed them dropping the bombs in the test and stuff. Why didn't the cameras melt? They're like right there. I mean, and there's this whole conspiracy that these weren't really, that it didn't happen, that these were like sets, like movie sets and stuff, and that the atom bombs never really existed. There's like a huge theory about this.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that when they were setting it up, I was like, damn, they're like setting all this stuff up, and everything around this will be destroyed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all the, I thought that. I was like, that's, I was like, damn. Like all this like rig that they're using to hoist this bomb up in the air to drop it. I was like, all this is just like gonna be destroyed.
Yeah, but I
mean, like a one-time use.
I know, but I mean, why did it? I mean, you got to think. There's a I mean, they filmed. Did they actually use footage in the movie about footage from the bomb? Because that would be cool if they did.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I don't think they did. I don't think they did. They just did their own footage or whatever. I'm pretty sure.
I heard also that it's being boycotted in Japan because
really?
Yeah, because of Nagasaki
and
Hiroshima.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But there's
I mean, I could see that.
Yeah, there's also a theory that the bomb never was dropped on there. That it wasn't an atomic bomb. There was bombs dropped, but it wasn't.
But it wasn't an atomic bomb. It was just some regular bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and they just wanted them to think it was.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of theories.
Interesting.
I don't know any of those theories, but there are a lot.
They're out there. You can go find them.
Yeah. And I haven't researched it. I'm just talking off the top
That's
of my
a later
head.
episode. That's a later episode. That's for the Patreon.
Yeah. I wish I had a Patreon, but guys, should I get a Patreon? Let me know. Comment down below.
No. Yep, that's right.
But yeah, man, I've talked to Ty about it. And I think we're going to start doing maybe a weekly show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because
you guys are bi-weekly now.
Yeah, been bi-weekly, and we're about to come up on a year. So I think we need to start doing more. I mean, it seems like we're picking up traction, but I think we'd pick up more traction if it was weekly, because I think people want that
consistency.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't know. It's just something to work out. And with Ty having a new baby, hopefully we can work it out so we can do it weekly, because I think that would be cool.
Yeah, hell yeah. It'll just be an adjustment. That's all.
Yeah.
And once he figures out that adjustment and kind of gets into it like a routine, it'll be much easier.
Yeah.
And then, a few months he'll be, ready to be, it'll be like normal for him. You know what I mean? So it just takes time.
Definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, man, this has been fun. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, man. It was awesome. I always enjoy talking to you, man. I wish we lived closer so we can hang out some, but
I know. We'd be doing a hell of a lot more investigations, that's for sure.
So when are you moving down to Tennessee? Because everyone's moving to Tennessee.
I know, right? I know, right? Apparently everybody. Yeah, I know. Yeah, if you guys ever come up to Mass, I mean, I have endless amounts of Bridgewater Triangle places to check out.
I totally want to come up there. I mean, that's a thing I want to do.
I mean, eventually, I'm trying to put together something for like this October, because October it's Halloween, and so usually like the spooky season, people like watch paranormal stuff more, or people that don't normally watch paranormal stuff are kind of into it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking this year I was going to try to do like a live, or not live, I'm sorry. I want to end it with a live investigation, maybe possibly in the Huckamuck or something like that. But I think I want to do like every single week do a different Bridgewater Triangle hotspot, and maybe even have the fans pick, one of the weeks or something from one of the videos I've done, and you know what I mean, because there's endless amounts of places I could do. So
yeah,
and then I was gonna try to get other YouTubers in on it. That's where I was going with it. Is trying to get like to try to cross promote and all that stuff. But yeah, eventually, whenever you guys do get up here, hell yeah, dude, I can't wait.
Yeah, that would be cool.
It's gonna be so much fun. I can't wait. Can't wait to show you the Huckamuck.
Yeah, I really want to go up there. Ty is really, really interested about coming up there too. So maybe sometime soon. It may be next year, honestly, because at least it'd be easier once it'd be easier once his baby's 1 year old. For him to get away.
Mm-hmm.
So
for sure, yeah, and he'll be ready to get away.
Yeah.
At that point,
definitely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, dude, it'd be so awesome. I can't wait. And then, like I said, hopefully next year, I think fingers crossed, I think we'll probably come back to Tennessee too.
That'd be awesome, man.
And then we'll conquer some other Tennessee legend or haunted location or something.
I've got some stuff we can do. I mean, totally.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I'd like to go to that birding park, Seven Islands.
Yeah.
I mean, just during the day, go and do that, because that was
hell yeah.
It was crazy.
Oh hell yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you were there only 21 minutes and got that,
yeah, it was
absolutely.
It was nuts.
Hell yeah, dude. I can only imagine. We'll get some. I'm guarantee we'll get some awesome stuff there for sure.
Yeah, and I'd like to get Tony to do video with us. That would be great.
Hell yeah. Well, he did promise me that he was going to do a video with me, so I got that in my back pocket. So I'll pull that out I'll pull that out next year when I come back up.
Yeah,
I'll come down, I should say.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But,
I've been after him to do a video with me. I was like, let's go out. And he's like, let's do it. But he's so busy. I'd hate to ask him. I'm like, he's not gonna have time to go out with me. So
yeah, you just gotta with him. You gotta like set a date and then remind him every 2 weeks.
yeah.
Sometimes because dude, he gets I know how it is. So
yeah,
I'm the same way. Sometimes if I don't write it down on my calendar, then I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta write that down, or oh yeah, I gotta do that, and then like 10 minutes later, then that's gone, and then the next day I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta do, and then it's just a cycle. So I like remember every day, but then I forget the 23 other hours. So
yeah, definitely.
So, but yeah, hell yeah, man. Well, this has been awesome, man.
Yeah,
so
man.
yeah, if you need me again, just let me know. I'll easily hop on. We'll talk about something else. But this has been awesome, man.
I don't know how long Ty's been going to be out, but I would, definitely we can do another one.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for coming on. Do you want to tell everyone once again where they can find you?
Absolutely. So you can follow me on all my social medias. That's at Exploring with Phil, minus Twitter, which is exploring_Phil. Weekly YouTube shows, 7 p.m. every single Thursday, somewhere new, somewhere different. Bridgewater Triangle, most likely. Canadian Dutch Voice Studios.
Awesome. And guys, check out reaperapparel.com. And if you go there and use code AFK Discussions, you'll get 25% off anything you purchase. They got rad hats. They got really cool shirts. Just go check them out, reaperapparel.com. And Phil, thanks a lot for joining me, man. I wish Ty was here because I know he enjoys talking to you also. But maybe soon we can get together and gosh, we always have fun talking. So we
do. Hell yeah,
always love to have you back on. So
yeah, and I'm glad being here. Glad I could help out, and I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, man, definitely. Okay, guys, also AFK Discussions at Instagram. Check us out on Facebook, wherever you listen to podcasts, and also afkdiscussions@gmail.com. Hit us up if you got a story you want to be on the show, or if you're an expert about something paranormal, I would like to talk to you. All right, guys. Peace out.
The years of loss coming after you. In the voice, in the shadows, were the teeth. In the woods and the shadows. In the woods and the shadows. In the mind of